Hello, welcome to another 10 Minutes with Todd at Beyond 615. So much of the Christian music songs that you hear on the radio and online when you stream, they're either written, recorded, or produced, or mixed in the 615. And that's the area code for the Nashville area. So this whole thing is just about celebrating someone in the Christian music industry, but we only have 10 minutes to do it. We're going to celebrate them. We're going to talk with them, see how they got started in the music business, and just applaud them for what they're doing. This is episode 16, and today's guest is Spirit 1053 music director and on-air host, Sarah Taylor.
Yeah, they like the way I do this.
I tried to have walk-up music for you. Do you like your walk-up music?
I can barely hear it.
Okay, enough of that. It was Chainsaw from Family Force 5.
Wow. What about having me on made you think to pick that?
You know what? Actually, it was like a minute till, and I'm like, I should have walk-up music for these people. So I just opened up my music, and I was like, oh, where's a Christian song?
Fair enough.
So I got down to the C's. It's not true. I skipped over a bunch.
I can't see you. First of all, this is my first time doing Instagram Live. How are we doing? And I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Oh, no, you can't see me?
No.
Oh, I can see you. Our heads are about the same size, which is good.
Okay.
You're well lit. I think I'm well lit. I might need some tips from you because I know you do a bunch of podcasting, video podcasting too. I have the screen glaring back in my glasses, and I hate that.
Well, no, I mean, I saw that like before. Now I just have a circle. Hopefully you'll come back within the next 10 minutes. But as long as we're working for the other people that are watching this, I'm all good.
Yeah, you're good. We can see you. I hope they can see you too. So whoever's on, if you can see Sarah and I, just give a thumbs up or say, I can see you. Ryan. Okay, we see both of you from Ryan Springer. Okay. We've got
Ryan.
10 minutes. Let's go. I'm going to set my timer.
Okay.
Set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes and counting.
Oh, I better get the water out of that. I'll do that later. Okay. Sarah Taylor.
Yes.
You were born and raised in the Seattle, Washington area?
Yeah, my whole life. Born right here. I was born in Bellingham, where we actually have a sister station, Praise 1065.
Sure.
And then, born and raised in Linwood. And so Spirit 1053 is the station I grew up listening to.
And to be working at the station you grew up listening to. Actually, my last guest, Brett, same story.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, how did you dream of working there, or did you get into radio by accident?
I got into radio by accident. But obviously it helped that I was a listener. You know how like when you're in your final year of college and you're supposed to declare a major and you're supposed to launch and like get off your parents' insurance? And
I think you're supposed to do that before your final year, but go ahead.
Okay, so I was a little behind. And I didn't know how to declare a major. I didn't know what to do. And somewhere in my heart, I just knew. And in fact, as I was driving the car and I would listen to Spirit 1053, I would say to God, listen, I know your timeline is not our timeline, but I need to declare a major. I need to get off my parents' insurance. And I'm pretty sure you have better blueprints for my life than what I could come up with. So, and then I got kind of mad. I was like, Jesus, it all happened while I was driving out loud. I'm one of those. I'm a car prayer talker. Do you do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm like, Jesus, why do some people get a calling from you and some don't? Because I'm asking for what mine is. And then I would cry because I didn't feel like I was hearing an answer. And the irony is that as I wasn't getting an answer, I was listening to the radio station in the car, crying and working for my dad. And so anyways, one of those days of the prayer crying things, I called into the morning show because I felt like they were my friends. And so whenever they would launch their daily question, I would just call and answer it. I was a frequently calling P1 bumper sticker displaying fan of the music. And
so you were part of the 1%.
I was.
Okay.
And so anyways, I don't even remember what I was talking to the hosts about, because later that week, when someone called and told me I'd won tickets to the Puyallup Fair to see the Newsboys, I was surprised because I didn't know that I'd been entered in a contest, because I wasn't calling for that part. And and I almost didn't go, but I had a friend that was like, oh, I'll go to that with you. And so we went to the fair, and the tickets came with backstage passes. I didn't know that either. And so I went backstage and I met Mike Tedesco, who was our promotions director at the time. You know Mike.
I know Mike, and I know his fingers that have people that have worked under him that are
Yep.
scattered throughout our industry.
Yeah, he just has the gift of mentorship. Like he couldn't not mentor if he tried. You know what I mean? Like it's in him. And so I'm back there, and I don't know who the Newsboys are, or like, are you a crew member? Are you a newsboy? I must have looked like a deer in headlights. But I remember watching Mike greeting all the guests. And I remember saying another prayer in my heart. I said, God, I don't know what job you have for me, but can I love what I do the way that man loves what he does? Because it was just evident as he was shaking hands and getting to know people. And so he finally made his way around to me, shook my hand, asked me how I won tickets. I told him I loved the station. And then it's like it almost came out of my mouth, and I didn't even realize I was asking the question. But I was like, do you need an intern? And he goes, I've got one right now, but you can always submit your application. And I did. And he called me a couple weeks later, and he goes, hey, the other one fell through. Why don't you come in and interview? And I remember driving. It was a long drive to the station. I remember, again, it all happens in the car, hands on the steering wheel, and it felt holy. Like I felt like the mothership was calling me home. Like my hands are on the steering wheel. And I remember thinking of the magic that I'm driving to the place where this music that has gotten me through such difficult times and really kind of cultivates my relationship with God. And I'm like, I'm driving to where that comes from. So I interviewed with him, and I gave him my resume. I spelled Christa Ministries wrong. There were just typos all over that thing. I was so green, and yet he saw something in me. And that was almost 19 years ago.
That's amazing that you were at the same station for 19 years, and it all began with an internship. Yeah. I love how you prayed, God, please show me where I'm supposed to be doing for my career. And like, you felt like he wasn't answering, but the whole time the radio was on.
I know.
I mean, don't you think we miss God like that? And so many, I do. I just admit, like, he gives the answer, but we're looking for something else.
Yeah. And I think it helps, like, being on the air all these years. Like, a lot of times I'll go into the studio and I'll just picture someone in a place like I was, using the music to try to have a conversation with God and being kind of confused. And it helps me kind of think of a good lens to talk to people.
That's so good. And I think you're one of the very best in our business. I have for years. I remember when I was at the river in Columbus, me and Bill came out to kind of see what was happening at Spirit 105.3. And Scott Valentine was your program director, and you were music director. And we spent a day and a half with you guys, just kind of observing, asking all the questions we could to try to make the river a better radio station. So, and that was probably really early on in your career. That was probably 12, 13 years ago. But you had the it factor then, and you just honed it so well ever since. So describe your very best work day. What would that look like?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying all that. It's so weird to not be able to see you, because I'm like, that's really we just had like a very much an eye contact moment, and all I have is a black screen, and so I'm just like, where do I look?
Yeah.
Like, so anyways, thank you. Describe my perfect day. You tipped me off to that question ahead of time, and I was like, what do I want to say to this? And it's gonna sound so, I don't know what it's going to sound like, but it's the truth. I sort of feel like I have that every day.
That's fine. It's great.
I know, but it's like, it's a little bit like, oh, good for her. But I am all just about, like, doing the basics every day consistently. And I think that's great. I mean, obviously I like to be consistent because I stay at the same place, but it's more just like a friend you can count on. I think there's something about just a familiar tone. Like, even if someone doesn't necessarily remember what I said or anything like that. It's more just like, oh, there's that girl again on the station that connects me to God, you know?
Yeah. And this past year, you've been doing it from your closet at home.
That's where I am right now.
Yeah.
Like this is the studio part, right?
Yeah.
And then there's
This
the
is the
clothes.
clothes part.
It's great because
It's so amazing what the past year had, how creative a lot of industries have become, including radio, where most people may not even know that people are like literally in their closets all day long.
well, it's cool because we were operating the radio nerd speak. Put your radio nerd hat on. We were operating on Enco, and then we switched over to Zeta the month before everyone had to scatter and go
Wow.
home. And so
God's timing.
we wouldn't have been able to do it from home with Zeta to go. We had literally, we got trained on it, and we got sent home about 2 weeks later.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So whether it's your younger self or someone right now who is in college or is thinking about, the music industry, or I don't know, radio, I listen to streams. I don't even listen to the radio that much anymore. My mom or dad does. What would you say to someone about getting into radio? Because we do need that next generation.
Oh, absolutely, we do. We have some great 20-year-olds at the station. I'm constantly asking them questions. I'm like, hey, I used to be you. I'm not anymore. Advice for them? Gosh, pray that God blueprint prayer. He's got better blueprints than we ever could. And so, just kind of, I even started a podcast about this. Plug for the Passion Meets Purpose podcast. But that's what I really believe in. And that's really the way that God has just kind of helped me navigate life so far, is he gave us all talents and abilities. And it's usually the stuff you're naturally passionate about, right? It doesn't feel like work to you. And then purpose is how you give back to the world. So just kind of launch those in God's direction and then prepare, right? John Mays says, life is like, it's our job to do all the preparation. And then it's the intersection of the opportunity that God brings. That's his part. So we prepare, and then God brings the opportunity. And then John Mays also, I just interviewed him, so it's all fresh in my head, but we'll just use his wisdom. He says talent is not the rare thing. YouTube has shown it. There's talent everywhere. Discipline is the rare thing.
I agree.
That one hurt. When I was like, ooh, that hurts.
And John Mays is A&R over at Centricity Music.
Yeah, he's the best.
I agree. Everybody's like, I'm going to do a podcast. Well, there are how many thousands of podcasts? Same with radio stations, same with songs, same with running shoes, same with whatever churches. People always gravitate to the best, or the ones that meet their needs. And so just because you can do a podcast doesn't mean you're going to get listeners. I don't know. It takes discipline, right?
I don't know. You're taking me outside of my lane. I don't know. I mean,
you're like, I'm just going to stay in my closet and have my best day tomorrow. Like, stop. Well, plug your podcast again. Is it available where all the podcasts, or should we go to a specific website or whatever?
The digital team takes care of that. Okay. So yes, it is available where all the podcasts are on the podcast platforms. It's called Passion Meets Purpose with Sarah Taylor. And we've got Scott Hamilton, the Olympic back flipper, figure skater. He's great. And we've got Ann Wilson and Bart Millard of Mercy Me and John Mays and Lauren Daigle.
Oh, look at you. A-lists.
Well, I pulled some strings.
Well, okay. From your closet.
Yes.
Well, thank you. My timer has gone off. It has been a pleasure getting to know you. And I love how you share. You're a great storyteller. I love how you share the story of getting into this industry. And for those who aren't in the industry who are watching this, spirit1053.com. Sarah's on middays there, Pacific time. And so, yeah, check her out. Check out her podcast. And thank you so much for spending 10 minutes with me.
Todd, what do I do? Like, how do I get off of this?
I will end it. Ready?
Okay.
3, 2,